Today was a busy day for us. Obviously, we had a number of different opportunities for us to go against each other. I thought our guys did a really good job of, controlling, what they could control out there. I mean, you're competing against each other for, in the instance, I think today, that the way it was scripted, almost 45 minutes of, competitive work. I thought our guys really showed, really good emotional control and maturity in the way they competed today. So I was really pleased with that from a practice standpoint. And we got a lot of work done. So the evaluation process for us will be really good. I mean, we'll have really good film to watch, to evaluate. Allows us now to almost halfway done, really begin to, look at, where we have to strengthen ourselves, the developmental issues that we need to continue to work towards and be a more complete football team. So today was a really good day from that perspective. I think the identity is starting to kind of show itself. I think, this is going to be much more that the sum is going to be greater than any one of the parts of this team, which is great. I think that there's going to be a lot of players that will play and take an important role in the team, but we're going to need everybody. And so days like today, as a head coach, you get an opportunity to kind of really good sense of where your team is, and I think that that's what happened today. So those are my opening comments, and take questions.
Coach, with Sage Ryan, it seems like maybe at the safety, and I guess Major would be playing the star. Is that right? Just kind of how does the star shape what y'all can do in the secondary or want to do in the secondary, and how is those positions looking at this point in the spring?
So the star gives you a lot more, I would say, versatility within your defensive structure. A guy that can play man coverage, a guy that can blitz, a guy that can play zone coverage, a really good tackler, athletic in space, but also, a guy that's rugged enough that, if you put a tight end, he can handle himself at the line of scrimmage. If you're going to get into two tight ends, you could move the star off the field and add another linebacker, to the mix. But, we felt like, Major, really fit that mold in terms of the star. He's closer to the football, and he has those skills that we were looking for. Sage, obviously, is a guy that we moved around all over trying to find a spot for him. He's got speed, he's got athleticism. Obviously, that was a position that, needed some depth, and he provides, obviously, that experience that was lacking at that position.
Last year when you spoke of Malik, you spoke of like a seriousness or attention to detail that like he really used to elevate his game. Are you seeing something similar with Chris this year now that he's healthy?
I think, the way that I would describe it is that, those guys, when guys move on, it kind of, it thrusts you into, that position of need, leadership, whatever words you want to call. And he now knows that the mantle has been passed to him and it's his time. And I think he's really done an outstanding job of, being the next wide receiver up at LSU. He's had a really good spring. He's been, and I think I would evaluate him as somebody that has been consistent. Every day he's gone out there and practiced at a high level, and he's developed a consistency at that position that I think at times maybe you could argue that he was, lacked consistency, whether he was hurt or whether he would drop a ball. We haven't seen any of that, and good for him.
I guess the edges are something that really has stuck out too in these first couple practices. Just how have you seen some of these defensive ends and guys progress just in terms of rushing the passer and getting and what you guys want to do with your defense this year?
Well, again, I think, the maturity level of Deshaun Womack, the health of Deshaun Womack. Remember now, he was, he wasn't part of spring and then, had shoulder surgery and was coming off of shoulder surgery. And I just think in the weight room, physically developing, having a year to kind of understand what it takes to be in college has put him in a really good position. He's got a chance to be an elite pass rusher. Certainly we've seen what Braden Swinson can do as a pass rusher. Both of those guys, we believe, can be top players at the edge position in the SEC. And, clearly we're moving big ends around as well. Savion is doing a great job, but he's not necessarily an edge as much as he's playing a little bit of a 4 technique, so he's a B-gap player, but he's got great flexibility for us. He's long, he's athletic, and he can also play inside, so it gives us great flexibility when you have a guy like him as well.
Hey, Coach, Will Campbell and Emory Jones, starting since they were freshmen, now they're entering that junior season where leadership really emerges. How good do you feel about having those two guys leading your team into this season?
Yeah, so I think this is the year that we really put a lot more emphasis on them to be involved in our offensive structure in terms of schemes. No longer is this about just, we got 2 really good young tackles. We want to be able to take advantage of, their actual ability in the schemes. And you probably saw us moving them a lot more, pulling them, getting them involved in our offensive structure a lot more. And so I think in year 3, knowing that we have, 2 outstanding tackles, let's get them involved in our run scheme. And so there's been a lot more pin and pull, a lot more outside zone, and that's to feature both of those guys in particular.
Hey, Coach, over here. What stood out today was the defensive backfield. They seem to be very active, and you've seen a lot of the veterans and also the younger guys such as Deshaun McBride and P.J. Woodland stand out. How do you see the defensive backfield moving forward, and what do they need to improve on?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of good young players there that, are playing better and better. But, I think the guys that played for us last year are improving as well. Toviano, Stamps, I think that they're improving at the level that is necessary for us. You mentioned a couple of the freshmen. I just think there's a lot of good young talent. They're being coached. I think Coach Owen's doing a great job with the safeties. I think that they're very active and very much involved in what's going on. Jordan Gilbert gives us a veteran player back there. So I think there's a nice collection of some veteran players, some younger players. Same thing at the cornerback position. I think it's just a natural selection of younger players and some guys with some experience that we finally have. As I said, I think the sum is going to be much more about what this team is than any one individual. I don't know that there's going to be one corner. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 corners at a particular position. I don't know there's going to be one safety. I think it's going to be 2 or 3. So I think you're going to just see a lot of guys that are going to be competing and helping us instead of, it's just one star at one position, one superstar. And I think that's a good thing.
Similar to your answer to Jacques' question, a little bit more 12 personnel. Are you getting to a point in your tight end room now where you can do a little bit more, expect more of them?
Yeah, I think it's going to be part of our offense. I think we're still searching a little bit. I think our focus really in this first 6, 7, practices has been, the run game more so than formationally. I think we'll get more into the formations on the back half of our spring now. We really wanted to lay down the tracks for the run game because as you know, I mean, our run game was Jaden Daniels. I mean, and so we're moving in a different direction. I wanted to make sure that we spent the appropriate amount of time of the kind of running game that we want to have and need to have going into the fall. So it's been less formation driven and much more about the play selection. And I'm pleased with what I saw today. And then I think we'll get into more of the two tight ends or multiple formational looks in the back end of the spring.
Coach over here, Bo Bordelon, Tyree Adams, seems like those guys have been getting a lot of reps too.
Yeah.
Behind those guys, what have you seen from those two? Just really filled
Yeah,
that
we
out?
just felt like, we got to get these guys into the action. I mean, one injury or, one ankle, that these guys need to play, and they've been around, and we think they're talented players. We just got to give them more reps. We know what we've got with those two that we talked about in Emery and Will. I don't know that we need to run them every rep in the spring. So, I think Brad's done a really good job of getting those guys many, many more reps. And I think it's a good thing for us to build that kind of, key backup, if you will, where there's a couple of positions I think we need key backups. And the other one that we're working on is the key backup at quarterback. And that position needs to continue to grow as well. So my eyes are on those areas, at the tackle position and certainly at the quarterback position. We need some key players at those positions. I'm really pleased with the wide receiver group. I think there's 7 guys there that are going to make up for the loss, of 2, elite players. And those 7 have done a really nice job for me in terms of what they've done, the first half of this spring. We need to see more from the key player at the quarterback position and certainly at the tackle position.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned the quarterbacks just then. From a leadership standpoint, what have you seen so far this spring from Garrett?
Well, he's a natural leader. He was a leader last year. Even though he didn't start for us, he was seen and regarded as somebody well-respected and as a leader. He has the ears of everybody on the offense. Look, he backs up what he does by deed. I mean, if he says he's going to do something, he does it. And he holds others accountable. He's got a SWAT team that's always at the top in terms of point production each week. He just, he's a guy that, backs up what he does. And guys follow guys that mean what they say and do it. And I think that's, the ultimate respect is that those guys listen to him.
They did a good job of a video with Brad Davis the other day, just kind of getting an inside look in the room. How valuable is it to have that guy? Obviously, he's got an experienced room that he can work with, but as a guy on the staff that can kind of get everybody going, not just his room.
Yeah, so when I was hired, and I think, people could say, well, you should have kept this guy or should have kept that guy. He was the one that really, in my estimation, was somebody that I wanted to retain based upon, not that he was funny, but it's awesome that he's got a great sense of humor, and he's able to relate. But I love the way he was able to communicate and be demanding, but at the same time build relationships with all the players. And at that time, he was the acting head coach, and both sides of the ball really enjoyed being with him. So it doesn't surprise me, and he's doing a fabulous job.
Just as Kyron Lacey comes back, for another year here, what do y'all want to see out of him this spring, and what have you seen thus far?
I think, Kyron had, times where, he could get distracted a little bit. I just think a single-minded focus, in terms of doing his job every single day. It's not physical in any way. I think he's extremely gifted as a football player. But I think the elite players, have such a single-minded focus in terms of what they do and how they do it, that when they hit that practice field, it's all business. And I've seen a big change in the way he approaches practice. It's so different than when it was last year. I think he was the third man, and he's not that. He's the guy, and he handles himself that way. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten much information over the last month because of where he is. We know he's in intensive daily rehabilitation. He's up, walking, doing all those things, doing all of the occupational rehabilitation. It's just a slow process. But everything is coming back. It's just a slow process.